outline. So we're done with the stream effectively, guys. This is now for me to help me to write this book. So the way that the outline is going to be is there's a dedication. Like I'm gonna do the dedication on the front end, and then I'm gonna have a page of definitions, because there's certain definitions that you need to know in order for this book to make sense. But I'm going to define these terms in my words. So I'm going to define a casket carrot put. I'm going to define a covered call. I'm going to define a covered strangle. I'm going to let you know what an expiration date is, what a strike price is, what's in the money, at the money, out of the money. So there's going to be probably like 20 or 30 terms that you're going to hear and read over and over in this book. And it's very, very important that on the front end, you know what these terms mean. If not, the book's not going to make any sense to you, first and foremost. So that is going to be in the very beginning, kind of like a little glossary, if you will. And it's going to tell you like important terms to know. And I'm going to define all of those. And then I'll give some analogies as well, like real estate, etc. So that's going to be a couple of pages. And then I'm going to do an introductory paragraph where I basically say I set out to take my wife's account to $1 million, but we fell short of the goal. You know, we essentially went from 245,000 to about 500,000, and then I just couldn't do it anymore because it was driving me crazy, because I was also doing it offline with 2 other accounts, and it just became too much. So I ultimately wanted to consolidate those accounts. So that'll all be in there. And then I'm going to go into the stocks. What's up, baby doll? I'll be done in like 5 minutes. So then I'm going to go into the actual chapters of the stocks that made it happen. So I'll start with, I don't have like a particular order, so it may be alphabetical order. So it had like the Bitcoin miners, right? So it'll be like Riot, Marathon, and Clean Spark, whatever Bitcoin miners are used, because I gotta go look. I gotta go look at all her trades, and it'll basically say, this is how much money I made on all the miners, and this is how it happened. And then I'm going to tell all the stories on like how I felt, like what was the investment thesis. What was I hoping to accomplish? What was I able to accomplish? What could I have done better? What did I learn? What did I learn about cash carry puts? What did I learn about covered calls? What did I learn about rolling? Like, what did those stocks teach me? Because stocks teach you things. Like whenever you wheel a certain stock, it teaches you something. And I'm going to have a chapter on what Meta taught me, because Meta taught me more than any stock ever. And it taught me the limitations of covered calls. And it taught me that if I don't have a long call to defend my covered call on a stock that's running, then the best thing to do is probably just to cut off the covered call and let the stock freaking run. Because I knew that it was going to run, but I was determined to continue to have the covered call on, and that ended up costing thousands and thousands of dollars. So that was a very, very big, crucial lesson learned that I'm going to have in my pocket for the rest of my career. So I thank Meta for that. I'm not thankful for the $250,000 that I left on the table, right, in the big account, but I am thankful for the lesson. That was a lot of tuition that I paid on Meta. Made a lot of money, but I left a lot of money on the table. So talk about Sofi. Talk about why I got excited about Sofi. A lot of it was because of Anthony Noto, because he was a free lunch money kid like I was. Like he grew up with not much, divorced family. I'm fortunate enough to where that's not the case with me, but I do remember going to the line to where it was government assistance. And then, the well-off kids, they had their $1 or $2 for lunch, or they can go to a different line. And I always felt like a little inferior. So it kind of gave me a chip on my shoulder financially. And whenever I saw that fireside chat, or I don't exactly know what chat it was, I'll have to find it. I'll have to find where he's talking to these guys about it. It really hit home to me, because I could tell that he had that fire in his belly, that gleam in his eye, like that eye of the tiger, saying that, hey, like, you can't control where you start in life, but you control where you end in life. And I was like, I started down here. I couldn't control that, but staying down there is totally in my control. So that was the reason that SoFi became my favorite stock, was because of the story that Anthony Noto told that I could just totally relate to. And then also I despise being in the line in banking, and I had this story where I had this $25,000 check and I needed this check to clear quickly. And they were giving me the runaround. No, sir, it's going to be like 5 to 7 business days. And I'm like, you don't understand. I need this money now. I deposited this money because I didn't want to cash the money out and have $25,000 in cash. I was uncomfortable doing that. So I trusted that I would just give you guys the money and you guys would be able to call the institution and know that the check was good and I'd be on my way. And they're like, that's not how banking works. I go, that's ridiculous. We're the year like 2021, 2022 when this was going on. And I was like, this is crazy. This has to change. Like, this system is broken. It's archaic. It's antiquated. And I'm sitting there arguing with the GM of the bank, dude, and everybody's looking at me and I'm like causing a scene because I really needed that fucking money. Like, I really needed that money right now. If I would have known that they were going to place a hold on that check, there's no fucking way that I would have deposited the money. I would have just taken it to the check that it was issued with my ID, probably paid $5 or $10 to cash the damn check, and walked out of there with a big fat envelope and my cash in hand and been done. But I was like, man, I don't really know this town that well. I felt kind of uncomfortable. So let me just put the money in my account. This was at Security Service, Federal Credit Union. And they're like, no, we're going to hold your check. And well, let me talk to the manager. And they release like $4,000. I'm like, dude, y'all don't understand. I need the 25,000. 4,000 doesn't do shit for me. So I have like a very, very strong distaste for banks because of that experience. And then, I came across SoFi, or it was IPOE at the time, and Shamal Piliapatia was pimping them out on CNBC and whatnot. And I was just like, dude, I really think this company's onto something, because I cannot be the only one that hates standing in line at a bank. It's so damn inefficient. And here you have a one-stop shop where you can take care of all of your things financially on a freaking app, and they're going to learn everything about you financially. So when it comes time to buy a house, buy a car, etc., they're going to know whether or not you're qualified. So it's going to like streamline that process and make it a lot faster for you. I could totally see how that could work eventually. And that's how SoFi became the biggest position in the portfolio, was because of that. Like, I bought into the story. I didn't think that the numbers were going to take that long to line up, though. So it was just real tough. And that's where the numbers and the story both have to make sense at the same time. And oftentimes that just doesn't happen in the stock market. So that's SoFi. Palantir is going to be the one that got away. So Palantir will have its own chapter. And then I'm going to talk about the 3, 4, or 5 stocks that I lost money on, and that I learned a lot on. I learned a lot. So when you lose, you learn, right? I learned a lot on IDEX. I thought IDEX had a phenomenal business plan. Like, I thought that just the opportunity was amazing. They had this electric scooter. They had an electric motorcycle. They had this electric tractor. They had this wireless charging technology called Wave. I mean, they just had a lot of individual components that were really, really awesome, but they lacked synergy. They lacked focus. They lacked leadership. So to me, what I learned the most about IDEX was that without the right leader in place, the idea in and of itself just isn't enough. Like, leadership is one of the most critical components of a company. And I just don't think that they had the right leadership in place. If not, I think that they could have been a very, very legitimate target for a takeover of a much larger company, because they would have wanted that kind of action. Like, there's a lot of bigger companies that would have wanted access to that electric tractor. They had like their Energica, the electric motorcycle. Look it up. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So anyway, I learned a lot about those companies. I learned about like the or BNGO and Sins and others. Uh, excuse me. I learned a lot about these companies that valuations matter. I learned that you have real good ideas and it can all sound real good, but at the end of the day, you got to make money. You have to be able to make money because valuations matter. Like you can only sell a story for so long. And I was investing in too many of these companies, and eventually I kind of got my butt kicked with that. So I had to make a transition into more profitable companies into the portfolio. And that's when things really started clicking and my wife's account started going up and to the right is where I started putting more emphasis on Palantir because Palantir was already a profitable company. So I was like, well, let me put more monies over there. I put Google into the portfolio. I put PayPal into the portfolio. So there was profitable companies that I put in there, and we didn't necessarily knock it out of the park, but it brought more stability to the portfolio. And those are the things that I learned. And then there's going to be an entire chapter talking about the wheel strategy, and that'll be probably on the front end before the actual chapters of the handful of stocks that kind of made it all happen. And I'll talk about walk them through the whole thing. You sell a cash secured put, you get a sign, sell a covered call, till the shares get called away, etc. But then I'm going to also have a chapter that basically says that the wheel strategy has a lot of limitations, though. And I'm going to talk about the gimmies and the gotchas of the wheel strategy. So it's a very good beginner-friendly strategy. It's a good place to start, but you have to evolve. Like if you want to hit your 20 and 25% a year, like I've been hitting, you have to throw some wrinkles in there. You got to buy some timely leaps. Specifically, you got to buy some timely leaps because it's more capital efficient than just owning shares. And you got to utilize the poor man covered call strategy, especially if it's not a dividend paying stock. It makes absolutely no sense to own those shares, mathematically speaking. I mean, this is just a game of math. It's not a game of emotion. So I want to share all of those things, and I'll have a lot of screenshots. Like I'll be talking about these stories, and I'll be able to screenshot the trades and stuff from my wife's account corresponding to what I'm talking about to kind of make it all make sense for the reader, because these readers more than likely didn't watch the channel, and then now they're not going to have a video to go back to because I erased all of those videos. So I'm going to have to be very, very clear on this message. So anyway, and then I'll towards the end, you got to promote, right? You got to promote the next event. You got to promote the next book. So the next book will be talking about how I'm starting to graduate from a beginner status as far as like a wheeler, just sell put, sell cost, collect premium, to now I started a new challenge, follow along. I'll plug the channel where I got 25,000 and I'm trying to get it to 100,000 and eventually to $1 million. And then also how we took my wife's money, we pulled it together with other monies, and now we got about 1.1 to 1.5 million. I don't know exactly what the number's going to be. We'll know by Friday. And then I'm going to trade that portfolio live and in color on YouTube. Like every single trade that ever happens with that particular account will be traded live. So I'm going to take transparency to a whole new level because transparency is my moat. Like I'm willing to share absolutely everything that I do with my audience because I don't have anything to hide from them. Like I'm willing to show them the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, because I don't run the risk of feeling exposed or anything like that, because I'm not trying to sell them anything, with the exception of this book, if you will. So there's that, there's that. And then I'll pay homage to all the wheelers that came onto the channel and other YouTube channels that I watch on a regular basis, you know, guest appearance that I've made on like Amit's channel on Finance Junkies and things like that. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell, guys. Anyway, I got to get rocking and rolling. I think my wife needs me to do some stuff. We got some honey-do lists going on. We're going to try to get the house back in order, and I'll try to get back on here tomorrow. TJ the Wheel Deal signing off. As always, guys, stay blue, stocks green. Peace out. God bless you guys.